Hi and welcome to another video. Today I'm going to be trying to turn this big barrel into a big ol' horn, similar to something that'd be on like a cruise ship. So what I'll do with that there piece of cardboard, I'm going to draw a sort of a funnel shape that I will trace onto this 6 times all the way around, and then cut it out so I can form everything in, weld it together so it'll be horn shaped and sort of a hexagon shape, looking at like from the bottom up, I guess, since I'll have 6 sides of it. And I already have the math worked out. That barrel's about 22.5 inch diameter, meaning the circumference of it should be 70 5/8 inches. So when I draw my funnel, 1/6 of that is 11.78. So on the bottom, I'll go 11 3/4 inch wide, and then the top I'll go 2 inches wide, which should get me close to this. Well, actually might end up going only 1 inch wide. That'll get me about a 2 inch opening on the narrow end. So what I'll do is I'm going to fold this, so I'll have I'll fold it so it's square, and then I'll just draw half of this funnel, and then I can cut it out and then unfold it, and it'll be symmetrical, and use that to trace it. So that's my funnel shape. Now I just have to put it on there, trace it, and if I trace this 6 times, it should end up so it doesn't have a gap between the ends. So I'll get it going. Now just the fun part of cutting this whole thing out. Well, I don't have a horn yet, but it already makes a lot of noise. Now I just have to put everything together and tack it. Shove this. Around. Alright, here is my very ugly horn. Custom exhaust tip, nice. Okay, made a trip to the dollar store and got a couple parts. The way I'm going to do this, I'm going to take this old steam whistle I made, and I'll have to fit that into there and weld it on and cut the top end off nice and 90 degrees. And then this guy, I'll put a hole in that so that it will fit on top of this and make it so this top edge will be flush straight across with that cut. And this kitty litter box I'm going to cut my diaphragm out of, so that'll be in there. I'll cut my circle, and then I need to make 2 flanges. So one flange will be going around the outside of this with some holes in it, and then the other flange will go on top of this, sandwiching my plastic diaphragm in there. And I'll probably set this so the top of this will be just raised slightly, and not sure how much pressure I'm going to need. Like the higher this is in comparison to this, it's going to flex the diaphragm up and put pressure on that edge, but I'm not sure how much pressure I need. So what I think I'm going to do is have it up just a hair, and then if I need to go more, I'm going to just layer electrical tape on top of that so it makes a good seal, and that'll also prevent this from having a sharp edge that just kind of cuts through this plastic. But I don't have enough steel to make my 2 flanges today, so probably tomorrow at work I'll shear a couple pieces and yeah, bring that home and make my flanges. But for today I can get this cut off. I'll probably cut the big thick parts off of there, then squeeze this end in so that it fits around that and weld it on. And then I'll probably weld this guy on there. And that might be a little bit tricky because since this is from the dollar store, it is made of very thin metal and might be pretty difficult to weld without just melting holes through that. But I'll give it a go. Worst case scenario, I need to come up with a different idea than a little stainless mixing bowl. So yeah, this stuff is paper thin. The only reason that bowl has any strength is because it's formed in that shape. When you have it flat like this, it's not there's not much to it, so I'm gonna have quite the time trying to weld this piece in there. Luckily, it looks like I have a pretty tight fit, because if there is a gap, it would make it even more difficult to weld that in there. So that's going to sit something like that, and then my diaphragm is going to cover over, and I'll have to put an air fitting on this part, and I'll fill up the bowl full of pressure, and the only way out will be for it to lift that diaphragm up and then come through this hole, And when it does that, I believe what actually ends up happening is that diaphragm, it'll lift up once the pressure is high enough to let air through, but then it'll close again because the pressure, the air coming into the bowl is constantly increasing the pressure, but then every time that opens up, it decreases the pressure, so it'll open and close and go back and forth and basically make a bunch of high pressure air waves coming through this, and that's where you get your sound from. At least that's how I understand it. And the reason I went with such a large piece here, if I went with a smaller one, and again, this is just how I understand it. I believe the larger diameter you have on your diaphragm, you'll end up with a lower pitch noise. And my reasoning for that is, like, say, it's kind of like in school when you'd take a ruler, at least when I was in school, if you stick a ruler off the edge of the table, the longer it is, the slower, or it makes a higher pitch noise as you bring it, make the end shorter. I'm not explaining this very good, but I think you kind of get the idea, where the wider this is, the lower pitch I'm thinking it'll be. So with this, I should get a nice low horn. I'm hoping for it to sound like a old ship horn. Alright, there's a couple rings. These will be my two flanges. And now it's just time to weld some stuff together. There's my ring, and it'll sit like that. There we go. And I actually got those pretty evenly spaced out. Not bad for just eyeballing everything. I got 8 holes cut into these. Alright. There it is, all bolted together. So as long as this works, I'll have to weld that into here, and that'll finish the horn. But this should work without that part. So now I'll probably drill a hole right between a couple of these bolts, just so I can stick an air gun in there and see if it'll go. Alright, if my calculations are correct, which I didn't actually make any calculations on a single thing for this, but this should make a loud horn noise. Ooh. That works pretty good. I don't know if the big that thing will actually amplify the sound or not, but I guess now I gotta weld that to this, and right where I put the little hole between those two bolt holes, I'm going to have to put some sort of fitting. Maybe I should mount it on the buggy. Nah. Unless, maybe. Well, I don't really have room, and it'll probably catch a tree and get destroyed. So maybe I'll put it on the Dodge instead if I ever install the new transmission on that. But yeah, I'm pretty happy that this is working first try. I didn't know if this diaphragm made out of a litter box would work, but seems to work pretty good. Actually, one other thing I'm going to try before I weld this onto the rest of it, I'm going to put a little bit of water on top here. And I've already done this at work when I brought it in today, and it vibrates enough to like shake the water all over the place. But well, the slow motion definitely picks up a lot on the flickering of the lights, but that still looked kind of cool. It'd be cool to film that at like 1,000 frames per second where you could actually like see it wobbling up and down. Alright, just got that welded down. Give this a go here. Yeah, that doesn't seem as loud as it was without this. Alright, I got the horn cut off of the horn. I still don't know what to call each part. They're both horn to me. But we'll see if it goes back to the original noise it was making, because it's kind of disappointing after I welded that on. Yeah, that's definitely the old noise. So I'm not too sure why welding that on makes it sound so much different. I would assume that this would vibrate the same. You wouldn't think that having something off the end of this would change much, but seems to make a big difference. Alright, I was thinking a bit more about how the horn works, and as the air comes out, it has to spread out, and then as it spreads out, it's creating a larger volume that, or because it's covering a larger cross section, it has to slow down. And I thought of a good way to visualize this, and it might be just because I felt like making a smoothie, but if I take a smoothie here, and I'll try and pour this so it can see pretty good. As I pour it, and hopefully this doesn't splash everywhere, but it'll make the shape of the horn but backwards. And now if I take that video and put it in reverse, you'll see it's kind of doing the same thing that the horn would, where it'll be going fast here and slow down as it spreads out. And it's for the same reason, just kind of working in the opposite direction. So now that I've been thinking about it, and also another thing I read on Wikipedia is that horns, like a big ship horn, apparently they don't use the diaphragm like what I've been trying to do. They're more of a solid unit. It doesn't have any moving parts. It's something apparently more like the steam whistle that I've made. So I think I'm going to take the steam whistle and put that into my big horn and see if that'll work, because as it spreads out, it goes from a really fast frequency to a lower frequency. And since the steam whistle is pretty high pitched,
I think it might actually work better with the big horn than my lower pitched air horn. So I'll give that a go.
I was trying a bunch of different things with the air horn. I tried a really thin steel diaphragm, hoping that that would make a higher pitched noise, and that might work better with that big horn part, and that didn't end up working. It sort of made a higher pitched noise, but it didn't get enough vibration to make a lot of sound. And because this video is already really long, I'm not going to include any of that footage because there's not much to it. And I might try a few other things. I might make another air horn that isn't as large in diameter, and that might make a bit more of a high-pitched noise, and it might work a little bit better with the big trumpet horn end. So yeah, that pretty much wraps up this video. I'm hoping I can make a better horn in the future, but I'm happy with what I have so far. The horn without the big trumpet end, it still works pretty good, but I'm hoping to make a better one in the future. Anyway, thanks for watching.